Hey guys, I'm back with our Market 3 Part 2, so let's get started. So I'm just going to probably go in order. So Destined Rivals boxes have pretty much gone up, so technically the booster box price is the same as yesterday, but when I look at the listings, there's just this one seller, the smaller seller, selling one at about 247. Then all the other prices down here are about 250, I guess 249.28 or 25. There's a couple boxes for there, and then it goes to 250. I even see some about 254s, which is a good sign. And there's not like a ton of supply on the first page, except for Silverville. Except for Collector Store Sealed, selling 11. So we might see prices rise for that. I'm also monitoring the cases, and the cases, I think there's one less case at around the 1500 price. At 1495, I think there was like four yesterday. Four cases were sold yesterday, which helps. Although that's in rivals. Usually about four cases sell about every other day to every 2 days. So you just see it's very common. Like I wonder if it's like the same person buying it, but I just see a lot of fours for some reason. So that's really interesting. But yeah, some of the cheaper cases were sold, and I to keep track of that because I want to know if there's any arbitrage situations. I think that now with that, the price per box is about 249 by a case, so it's about similar to what all the other sellers are selling for our booster boxes. Um, the ETBs went up $2 and bundles a PC. I don't know, ETBs went up $2 and then the bundles went up $1. And the demand numbers for those look like, well, for Justin Rivals, demand is still kind of steady around 40. Now that the price is going to go up, maybe it'll slow down. I don't really know. Whenever the price goes up and demand goes up, you know that you're on a sort of run. Um, for ETBs, 34 were sold. You do see a decline of price and just sales throughout the month. For PCTBs, supposedly they're going back up according to this graph, but yeah, six were sold yesterday. It's kind of normal. And bundles has slightly more than average. Usually sell about 30 to 33. Yesterday sold 41. All right, Black Bull and White Flare. The ETBs keep dropping. We're getting to the point where I can start maybe tracking this every day. But yeah, the ETB dropped yesterday by about $1 to $2, and yet today the Black Bull ETB dropped almost $3. White Flare dropped about $1.50. The demand for the ETBs has gone up. Like general has gone up. Like you see the last 5 days. There's just been a higher demand than normal. Yesterday was sold 26, not as quite as high as the day before, but generally you see an increasing demand for White Flare. You kind of see the similar thing. The last 5 days, there's been more demand. 28 is actually a new high for White Flare. That's not necessarily happening with all the other products. Like you do see higher demand, but as far as today goes, or yesterday, 7 were sold, not exactly as high for Black Bolt bundles. Binders, there was actually none of them sold yesterday. And then for White Flare bundles, 8 were sold. It's kind of like so-so. And then for binders, there was 2 sold, also kind of so-so. All right, joining together. I'm just like, I actually look forward to checking Join Together now because it's been having more activity lately. But today, the main thing is that it actually went down a little bit. So the booster box, the more expensive one, went down to 231. The cheaper case went down about $2. Not really that big of a deal. So when I look at booster box prices, you still see like 231, 207, 218, or 201. So kind of quite a big gap between a lot of them. People are buying those more expensive box ceiling to. Maybe I got these numbers switched. Sometimes I do that. This one sold. Actually, this one sold 3. This one sold 2. I should really switch the order because I checked this one first. But yeah, this is actually 3 people bought the enhanced one, the cheaper one, and then 2 people bought the other one. So demand has been kind of slow. So only 5 boxes sold. Right now for this box, there's 2 cheaper ones for about 207, and then it goes back to 210. But people are paying around 207, like 205, 207 to 210. And the other one, there's Blazing Cards has the most amount over here, 12 at 231. I do see prices go 235 later, but yeah, it's people were not paying these prices before. Now they are paying 231, to paying 225. So just good appreciation on Joining Together. ETB sold about 11, not bad. Not bad for ETBs. PCTBs sold two. They're kind of steady, but like yeah, it's kind of lower than before. Usually sells like 4 or 5. Bundles sold more than normal, 15 compared to about 10. That's good for bundles. And our cases haven't been selling. The cheaper case, yeah, I still see a bunch of ones around 1200 mark. Actually, it's getting around 1210 now. And then for the other box, no recent sales. And this one doesn't tend to have a lot of sales, and this is kind of expensive, so I don't really expect people to buy it. If people do buy it, that'll be an interesting kind of phenomenon. All right, Paldean Fates over here. Also, I'll just pause now. So thank you everyone for subscribing to the 2K appreciation giveaway. The number of subscribers definitely, I do see a trend increase. More people subscribing ever since this giveaway. I think we're about 150 people remaining until 2K. It's at 148. So thanks everyone for subscribing. Entering the 15 the giveaway. So thanks. Paldean Fates. I think I only have one main note for Paldean Fates. So the main thing is that the bundle display went up $50. I think there was a cheap one that was hanging around there for a while, and someone finally bought it. Yeah, that was the main note for that. Everything else stayed about the same as far as like price goes. Paldean bundles selling for like 12 of them, and they're still just the ceiling is like, I don't know if that was they raised their price. They might have. But yeah, they have these 190, which was the price ceiling on bundles. Seeing more packs crop up for loose packs, although no one's really buying them. There's only like 2 bought yesterday. There's been really little pack demand. And yeah, I see this 1215 seller has showed up and paid there. For ETBs, demand is recovering a little bit. There was like some time where there was only sales every other day and only one. Now it's 2 sold yesterday, 1 sold today, so it looks a little better. Maybe we'll see it go to back to like 190 or something. And the PCTBs have been, I feel like they've been selling better than normal ETBs, but yeah, 3 sold the other day, 2 sold yesterday. That's not bad for PCTBs. And then the cases, one case was sold today at, it says 70289. I think that was the last cheap case. But then Trading Card World has this price ceiling because they list 78. So this isn't really budging until Trading Card World moves their listing, increases the price, or some seller just undercuts it. So it really is like a price ceiling. All right, Crown Zenith is next. So Crown Zenith, not really any difference in the prices. Crown Zenith has been slowing down lately. Here's what's happening. It's kind of in a transition, like kind of slow and steady kind of period. Yeah, it said yesterday that more loose packs have been appearing. So yeah, these 1050 packs approximately have been appearing. Even there's not even like some 1040 packs over here for 20 of them. So yeah, more cheaper Crown Zenith is cropping up, fortunately. So we're reaching that decline. The number of packs sold, I think it was like 11 yesterday. Yeah, 11. 151 sold 51, and Kuzak sold 156. So Sea and Sky, so it sold 1 yesterday, and unfortunately Full and Fawn over here listed 2 of them at the same price as AM Sneaker, so it just increases the supply a little bit. Still waiting for these to go away so that we can get to 173. Crown Zenith ETBs, 3 were sold. But yeah, I feel like I'm seeing just more and more around the 175 range, unfortunately, so it's been stagnating quite a bit. And then bundles sold 2 yesterday after not having as many sales. I'm still just waiting for us to hit like the next price point, even to 87 would be nice. I don't know if I want to buy this though. Like, I'm just gonna check the seller real quick. There's a lot of this is like older stuff. There's only been a couple of recent reviews, but I guess they were kind of positive. But yeah, because there's a big jump here. Like, I'm a little surprised someone hasn't just bought these, and so it goes to 95 and just wait and see what happens. And so I keep minimizing the window. Hope that's not affecting you guys. Yeah, I don't know, my finger keeps doing some weird thing. 151 is next. So 51 loose packs are sold. I'll go down here. The main differences as far as price goes, ETB is up $5. Binders down 10, and Bloom Wars is finally increasing. Like finally, unfortunately, demand is slowing down, but we're finally starting to see like probably supply is drying up, which is a great sign. Um, the only thing about Bloom Wars is the online, like the that seller. I don't want to like call him out too much. But like, yeah, I'm just like waiting to see what happens. Like, I'm waiting to see if I see a bunch of positive reviews, negative reviews, or like maybe comments of people telling me of like orders canceled or whatever, or them getting it. But I'm just kind of waiting because it'll probably, take some time. Within like the next week or two at most, I kind of expect some feedback. But what do I mean by that? So let's get to binders. So binders is one of the more obvious ones. There's been an increase in binder sales, and why? Because Minty Fresh Card Store has been listing a bunch of 151. They usually list like less than 10, and there's just a lot of like bad reviews. Um, and they tend to list like at the lowest or near the lowest. Right now, Cardboard Swag, who does look legit, yeah, they list a cheap binder. So I'd probably buy this binder if you're looking for binders. It's quite a bit of a discount, only $100, but they're selling these at 110. So I'm also curious if once they quote unquote run out, if they'll relist. But yeah, you see in the sales like just people are buying up these scam binders, possible scam binders. There's like about five of them. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it's not a scam, but the reviews are kind of iffy on that. Um, so I'll go back to the initial part. So bundles are at 74. Bundles selling okay. 31 sold. And oh my god, I don't that usually doesn't happen. I don't know why it's happening today. Um, there's a seller over here with a bunch of these at 15, but otherwise, yeah, I keep eyeing. I keep waiting for bundles to reach like 76, but right now they're stuck around 75, which is kind of fine for bundles. There was like a seller with a bunch of them, and so we had to wait for that to go away. Uh, 10, like I put the price as 10.20 because there's 15 packs. I think there was 20 yesterday, so I think some of them sold. But the real price of 151 is probably around 10.40. There's more packs around that price, 10.40 or 10.50. Bundle displays, they kind of keep selling. Like these are pretty expensive, so there's a premium on them. So one did sell yesterday. The price stayed about the same. I think there's one left at this, but a bunch of them are selling for about 800. So there's not really a lot of deals. A lot of these are probably not seal cases, so you can get a cheaper deal from that. Is anyone buying those? Not as far as I can tell. Yeah, this is where I first noticed a lot of the things. So like this is a really obvious kind of price discrepancy. That's like $100 off. So people have been buying these recently. These 151 PC TVs. So you see three of them bought recently. So I'm sure there's enough people buying that we'll eventually hear something from someone. Um, but yeah, otherwise, the 151 PC TVs are still doing great as far as price goes. They're still hovering around like there's like these 650s, 660. There's even 690s down here. Normally TVs, there's been more demand lately. Um, but I also think that might be because of the seller a little bit. But I feel like even with that, I don't think they listed this many. So there has been more ETB demand lately. Um, but yeah, 240, 297. Sometimes they make the price really obvious. So like, yeah, someone bought these four over here, and they bought one here. They bought one here, but here and here. So people are buying these. So otherwise, the price has still around 250 despite the increase in demand. But I do see it going up to about 255 pretty soon. UPCs sold two. Um, yeah, they have their listing at 382.99. Just looking for that. I don't necessarily see those being sold. So for UPCs, it seems like people aren't biting. But yeah, they're still around the lower price, around 385 to 390. Posters sold around four, and they're starting to drop a little bit. These listers are listing them for 33. It's kind of stuck around 33, 34 right now. Binders I already talked about. Yeah, they're just ever since Bark Record had theirs, then slowly people have been putting lower listings, and now we get like $100 binders when these have been very expensive. It's just been a pretty sharp decline this month. And Blooming Waters, yeah, it finally increased in price. So only four were sold, unfortunately. but I've been waiting for it to go back to this for a while. It did go back to 120 when there was initial reprints, but it didn't really sustain that and then went back down, and it's been really struggling to reach here. But now it's finally $2 up, finally more than $10 a pack, and now finally the pack prices kind of rise a little bit, as 151 gets scarce because everything else is like still pretty expensive. Even binders are the only other cheap product to get, except for loose packs. Um, and when I look at the listings for it, I do see it goes up to like 124, 125, which did not happen before at all. Okay, so Prismatic is next, and Prismatic has been doing a lot better lately. The last 2 days, I've been seeing a lot more yellow. Today, less yellow, but no red. So the Super Premium Collections went by 2. PC2Bs went by 1. I know yesterday at the packs went by $1. It's like 400 packs are sold in the last 2 days. Yeah, now 156 packs were bought yesterday. I already saw 140 yesterday, so it's another 16. And going through these, so Super Premium Collections, so 17, kind of a normal. I don't think I filtered a lot of these, so I'm going to filter them now. And it might be starting to rise. We're seeing 200 go to 204, so that's a good sign for Super Premium. It seemed like the bottom was around 190, and now they're starting to get back up a little bit, especially with Prismatic starting to actually recover. 42 binders sold, kind of average, but kind of lower average. The higher price here at the bottom is 20 James sneakers again. They were signed the Crown Zenith, but it seems like it's staying around 60, 69 right now, which is pretty good for it. For ETBs, demand dropped just slightly. Yesterday they were 40, now they're back about 30. And when I filter the listings, go over here, and it seems like it just, I think some Prismatic products are trying to stabilize. Stabilizing around like 110, honestly. Bundles are also stabilizing. They're stabilizing at 69. PCTBs, they've been selling still more, so 19 were sold yesterday, and you just see the spikes in demand, kind of selling between 15 and 30. But the price is kind of stabilizing around 225 a lot of the time. There's quite a few sellers signed for about 225, 230, unfortunately. So yeah, I thought they'd be heading toward 240, but it seems like the reprint hit us a little harder than expected, or than desired. For packs, I'm starting to see a couple of cheaper options. So I see this is $10 for 4 packs, $10.75 for 4 packs. Not really a lot. This is $11 10 packs. Like the real, you definitely see a bunching up of $11 packs. This is like 300 packs at $11. Surprise boxes at 50. The man's been kind of higher, but kind of okay lately at 28. I have to filter these down to get to actual surprise boxes. And yeah, they're just always between like 45 and 50 and 55. So they're still in that range. Prismatic bundle displays, none of them were sold yesterday. They're still at the high price of $10.54, which is, I think, last time I checked, that was like $17 a pack. So it's really expensive. I'd have to double check that math. So, well, it's just kind of about 1,054 divided by 6. 60, I mean, so yeah, 1750 a pack. And then this is straight together, skipped a couple. And the last couple things. So binder demand actually had a spike at 8, usually it's more like 5. And when I filter these out, it's all, I guess I'm seeing the range, it's starting to hit possibly 70, so that's pretty good for binders. They actually hit 70, but 68 is kind of the highest I see it nowadays. But if it reaches 70, that'll be good for it. Pouches demand started to drop back down again. Pouches have just been really struggling to get past $50 at all. They're 48 something now, and no one's really trying to buy them for more than $50. So they're the source of cheap packs. And Nintendo displays, no one's been buying them this later half of the month, so they've been stagnating. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thanks guys, bye.